Hello, good afternoon. Today's September 18th, and we are back with our weekly live podcast where I'm happy to talk about my week, my interesting cases, and questions that people have been asking, and try to get you a better understanding of the healthcare system and more in terms of how to make your visits with your doctor more useful and more meaningful, and also so that you can make better decisions about your health with better knowledge and better tools. My name is Dr. Vikram Gupta. I'm a primary care physician practicing in North Jersey, and I'm board certified in family medicine and hospice and palliative care. I teach for Toro Medical College and some other medical schools as well. So here I am to answer some of your questions if you have any. And thank you for all your support and your feedback that I've been getting. It's been very helpful. One of the interesting things that came up was some of my patients said that they usually will watch this sometimes live and sometimes after, on the day after, etc. But they said, what if I could do this in Hindi? And it was an interesting thought, and I would like your feedback on that. Like, how many people would be interested if I did this live podcast in Hindi, or more like it'll be Hindi and English mixed? Will that be more helpful for you? And would you feel more comfortable participating and asking more questions at that time? So this was something I'm seriously contemplating, since a lot of my patients are from India and they speak various Indian languages, but Hindi is a more common language that most people can understand, if not speak fluently, but it is the most commonly spoken language in India. So I'll be happy to discuss in Hindi, and even some of my patients from Bangladesh, they do tend to understand this fairly well, and English may be a little bit difficult at times for them. So just give me some feedback if this is something that might be of some interest to you, and if you want me to do this in Hindi, obviously in English as well, I'll be happy to do that. So let's get on with today's discussion. Most important today is the new COVID vaccine. It's finally out. It's been about a week since it was released last week. CDC has approved two vaccines. It's the same vaccine by either Pfizer or Moderna, and they're encouraging everybody to get that vaccine. So obviously a lot of people had been asking me about the booster shots, and if they should be getting a booster because it's the season, and also the flu vaccine and the hesitancy towards that, and the RSV vaccine is out. It's called the Arexvy, Arexvy, something like that. That's also something that's being encouraged. So it's starting to get tricky, and obviously patients are beginning to get booster fatigue and vaccine fatigue. But hey, this is the world we're living in right now. So just to give you a heads up that this is clear what the future is going to hold for COVID vaccines, and is it going to become a yearly thing that'll be updated just like the flu vaccine, or the frequency will change or not, and if it'll be the same vaccine for a long time, which doesn't seem like it, because as the virus changes, the vaccine has to change along with that, just like flu virus. So anyways, the new flu vaccine is already out. The new COVID vaccine is also out now, and that basically renders all the previous ones not quite obsolete, but the recommendation is to just get this new one. Now, what if you're already fully immunized and you've had your booster shots, and you've had your boosters, you've had all the vaccines? Some of them did get the booster, some people did not get the booster. So the recommendation is that everybody 6 months and above, so kids and adults everybody's supposed to get this new COVID vaccine. And that's basically, and I don't want to go into details of what it's called, what formula, and what the exact names are because it's not relevant. That's the only vaccine that's going to be available. So it's the COVID vaccine. The idea is you should go get it, and that's the recommendation. And if you've never gotten this vaccine before, even then, they're just recommending one shot right now. For kids, it's slightly different. They need to be primed, and they may need more than one. But for mostly adults, it's mostly adults and most children who got vaccine last year. This new vaccine is what they're recommending, and everybody should go get it. It's a one-shot deal. More or less the same as before, so you don't have anything to worry about if you did not have any issues with the previous one. This one is just more up to date, and one will be enough. Will there be another one next year? I don't know, and I don't think anybody knows yet. So let's see how that goes. Next question is, can you get it along with the flu vaccine? The answer is yes. You can get it along with the flu vaccine. They are not going to interfere with each other. And should you get both? The answer is yes. Surprisingly, I hope everyone can hear me. It's showing that my internet connection is a little iffy. Anyways, for interestingly, what I've encountered is a lot of people did get the COVID vaccine, but still the hesitancy to get the flu vaccine is still very high. A lot of people don't want to get the flu vaccine. They feel like they're going to get sick with it. Last time they got it, they were very sick, and now they don't want to get the flu vaccine. Look, I don't force people one way or another. I just tell you what is recommended. Some people I recommend getting the vaccine more strongly than the others. I've heard the story every day that they hear that you're going to get sick after getting the flu vaccine, or they hear that last time someone got the flu vaccine, they were sick like a dog, and then they just don't want to deal with that again, and they are more than willing to risk getting flu if it happens than with vaccine. Now, mostly these are younger people and not the older people. Older people are smarter, wiser. They know if they catch the flu, that can be pretty devastating and pretty difficult for them to cope with, and they might end up in the hospital. So older folk are generally, easy. They are more compliant. Let's call it that way. And again, like it is not a mandatory vaccine. It's not mandated. And interestingly, when it's mandated, whether it's for immigration physicals or going to college or school, everybody seems to get it. So after a while, what I have gathered is that is the idea of like, hey, if I get the flu, I'm more likely to just be fine with it. I'll be sick for a couple of days, and I'll deal with it. That's the younger person's perspective. And but if I take the shot, then I am almost guaranteeing that I'm going to get sick with it, or there's a 50% chance that I will get sick with it. So therefore, I don't want to deal with it. Again, we can't force anyone, but just so that everybody knows that the idea of the flu vaccine and the COVID vaccine, the RSV vaccine, these are basically viruses that are transmitted through the air. So if you've got it, you're going to give it to the next person, and they'll get it, they'll give it to the next person, and then it just can, from endemic to epidemic to pandemic, it just spreads. And that's what happened with COVID, where things did manage to get completely out of control. And herd immunity means that if this community is immune to the virus, then they're not going to get sick, and then they're not going to transfer the disease to other people. And so sometimes it's getting the flu vaccine and the COVID vaccine, it's more about the community as a whole as opposed to the individual. And obviously for the older and more sick or other younger but immunocompromised people, this is you should consider it. And if some of the things I tell my patients that if you are living with younger children or older adults, or work in big populated areas, or you have a lot of people contact, you should preferably consider getting the shot so that you don't spread the disease, and secondly, you won't get sick, but for the safety of others. So that's kind of one of the things that's coming into play. And it's people I convince, and some people, let's check the light. So some people I'm able to convince, but some it's rather difficult. But I guess that's okay, especially if you're working from home, you don't have any children, you don't have any adults, and you're not socializing much. And I guess it's not a big deal, although you should get it. And so going back to the COVID vaccine. So the new COVID vaccine is technically going to be the only COVID vaccine. So we don't have to call it the new one. We don't have to call it a booster, or we don't have to call it anything. It's just getting a COVID vaccine now. Number two, everybody should get it. It's just one dose. There's no booster shot. There's no nothing. It's just one dose. Can you get it while you're getting other vaccines? Yes, you can. What else? Is it going to be free? Technically, yes. The insurances are supposed to cover it, and you should not have a copay or a deductible or co-insurance associated with a vaccine like this one. But again, insurance companies think differently. They may not be on your side. They may not really try to follow the rules, and they may not necessarily pay for it. Definitely worth checking with your insurance. But I've realized that if you go to the pharmacist or like CVS pharmacy or your local pharmacist who carry this vaccine, they are usually able to check beforehand if it'll be covered, and then they can administer it to you. That I think is a much safer and a better idea. Problem will be the people who are uninsured. I think CVS Pharmacy is trying to run a program where even uninsured people can get it for free. Otherwise, the cost of this vaccine is about $120. It's not cheap. Flu vaccine is like $20, $25, and this one is $120 and $125. So something to keep in mind, but it should be covered. So that should not be something that holds you back from getting the vaccine, because it should be covered. I'm just not going to tell you that I'm going to guarantee anything, because with insurances you cannot guarantee anything at all. They, if they could, they'll hold the water from a dying person. So anyways, another discussion another time. So that's that. I think that's the big and small of the vaccine. If anybody has any particular questions about the new COVID vaccine, other than that, it's pretty much all the same. If you're immunocompromised, weak, if you've been very sick, you should definitely get the vaccine. Yeah, another thing was the previous one, when someone did get COVID and then they said wait for 3 months before you can go and get the vaccine. Now that's not the case. You got COVID last week, you can still go and get the vaccine, and that's what it's being recommended. Just 1 to 3, go and get it. Will it become a mandate? I don't know. I'm not sure. And we'll see how the schools come back with this, and colleges come back with this. And I know for the immigration purposes, you are supposed to be fully vaccinated, but now they keep changing the definition of fully vaccinated. Does it include boosters? And now I'm pretty sure it's going to include the new COVID vaccine. So definitely something to be aware of, and just go get it. A lot of patients were were asking me, and they're going to be traveling to India, they're going to be traveling to other countries. So they all wanted my opinion, and I had basically said this: wait, instead of getting the booster, let's just wait for the new vaccine. When it comes out, it'll come out with its new recommendations, and it's pretty much out. And they fortunately, CDC made it rather simple. The answer is everybody should get it. That's it. So that's on the vaccines. I told you about the flu vaccine. Interestingly, people don't want to get it while they still got the COVID vaccine. And I always ask everyone the same question that, they'll tell me, oh, I've never gotten the flu vaccine and I don't plan to get the flu vaccine. And I say, but you got the COVID vaccine. They say, yes. I said, how many times prior to that had you gotten the COVID vaccine? And they usually don't have an answer. But again, I'm not there to force anything upon you. My job is to make you understand what the reason why we're doing what we're doing. And then if that works for you, you can make a wiser and more educated decision for yourself. And I think a lot of times our decisions are based on inadequate or incorrect knowledge. And at least let me try to help you from my perspective as a physician, and as a physician in the community dealing with before and after of all these diseases. So it's the experience is something that helps me make decisions, and a lot of my patients just want me to guide them, and they'll do what I want. So it keeps me on my toes, because I wouldn't really recommend something that I wouldn't recommend for my own family. And sometimes I'll just share the information that's available and help you make your decision. Like, if you don't want to get the vaccine, that's fine, as long as you have the right information, right reasons to decline the vaccine. So that's pretty much it. The new COVID variant that's suddenly we've had a lot of cases of COVID. It's nowhere near the pandemic counts, but 2 or 3 cases in a week. And obviously these are the cases that we are catching. A lot of people are just not showing up, but they had a cough, cold, symptoms like flu. I've not tested anyone positive for flu yet, but I've had more COVID cases. But then again, people are getting the flu vaccine also. And this is a new variant. People have been feeling a little bit more sicker than some of the previous variants, but in the bigger scheme of things, it's not so bad. Nobody ended up in the hospital yet, so that's good news. So that's, unless you have any questions about COVID-19, let's see what else we're going to talk about. An interesting topic that came up was blood in the stools. In the Commonwealth areas, in those countries, I think this condition is called piles, Piles, and in the United States, we call it hemorrhoids, and that's a common cause of bleeding from the stool. And people will notice blood on the toilet paper, people will notice blood in the toilet bowl, and it'll be, for the most part, it should be painless. And, depending on who has it, it's always a big concern for the patient, and should be for the doctor as well. Not every, blood in the stool is just hemorrhoids or piles. It has to, you must share that with your doctor before you just call it hemorrhoids, because yes, younger people will likely have hemorrhoids, but you never know. These days, the guidelines for colon cancer say that people 45 and above are at risk. But anyways, I'm trying to I do want to talk more about constipation and hemorrhoids, the common things, and obviously for the conditions that can cause, and it's not just cancer. Don't be afraid that if you bring it up, then if you see blood in your stools, it might be cancer. Mostly it's not cancer, but nonetheless must be discussed with your doctor. And constipation, also I realized different definitions of not definitions, but different understanding of constipation depending on different patients. So constipation is, in general, that the stools are hard and you don't go every day. Maybe you go more than, less than once a day, and the stools might be very hard. But a lot of my patients, when I've tried to ask them what they mean by constipation, and some of them understand, like, hey, I don't go, I go every 3 days, and I thought that was normal, and or not going every day is not a big deal. Secondly, some of them will have very hard stools, and then they have to work very hard to push. And these are the, we're still not complaining of pain. Pain comes, usually if you develop constipation and the stools are hard, then you're pushing very hard, and you can cause a fissure or a tear. Mostly that's what we call a fissure. And obviously hemorrhoids, sometimes the hemorrhoid can get stuck and thrombosed. That can hurt, that can cause a lot of discomfort. And the easy way that I have found and to deal with and to share with my patients, a lot of them have done this, is the use of fiber. I don't really recommend, because the moment you say, oh, you should eat more fiber, and everybody's like, oh, I'm eating gummies that are high in fiber. I'm eating cookies that are high in fiber. I eat these Raisin Bran cookies. I'm eating this, eating. I think I should eat less. That's important. And secondly, the best way to deal with constipation and constipation will, is under control. You're going to have less symptoms of hemorrhoids and all that. And if there's no constipation of this blood and stool, that's something that definitely needs to be discussed with your doctor. Or if this is a new constipation, you've never had constipation all your life, and like in the last 3 months, you suddenly, there's a big change in your bowel habits. It's something that you should definitely bring up with your doctor. There's a lot of things that can be of concern, and many things that are not of concerns, but they can be easily solved. For fiber, I instead of eating more various things, if you're dealing with this, I think the best solution is getting Metamucil or Benefiber. These are the two most common types of fibers that are available at the stores. And Metamucil is just a psyllium husk. It's available in every country, and they call it differently. They know it, but this is the more common one. It's not water soluble, and you don't digest fiber, so it has to come out, and it does not let your stool bind as well. So and it keeps some more moisture and doesn't let it become so hard. Benefiber, Benefiber, that's a valuable fiber. It doesn't taste like anything, and drink that with a glass of water, a 16 ounces glass of water, and a scoop of Metamucil or Benefiber, and I think that fixes everything. And there's no calories, because eating something and everything has preservatives, it has sugars, and it has oil in there, a lot of different things. Just unless you're replacing a meal with that, just have one of these fibers with 12 to 16 ounces of water. That will fix 90%, fix the 90% of the times. And the only thing I tell my patients sometimes is, if one doesn't work well for you, which it happens, sometimes you'll start gas, sometimes you'll get more gassy, and it will not fix your constipation. Switch to the other one. One is water soluble, and the other one does not dissolve in water. So I've seen that some people tend to do better with one versus the other. No difference, just pick one and see if it works out well. And it's pretty safe. We use it for our family as well, and including the kids, and has served everybody well. What else? Yeah, so just blood and stools. I was saying the most constipation is important. Make sure your constipation is fixed. That takes care of things at home. But if you do notice blood in your stools, That is something you should definitely see a doctor for. Even if it is like, yeah, I was right, it is just hemorrhoids, which is okay, but your doctor will ask you some more questions, and based on that, he can assess your risk for developing other conditions. And other conditions, what we're usually sometimes more worried about is celiac disease, inflammatory bowel disease like Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, and sometimes if you've traveled, then enterocolitis. So yeah, there are other things that can give you blood and stool, and not just constipation and not just cancer. Have your doctor figure it out for you, and I think it's better than and nothing to be afraid of. Something that will make you feel better. Now, how we manage that if someone has specific questions. I know a patient of mine, much older gentleman, had blood in his stools and had to come to the office, and we were trying to make decisions to keep the comfort, not just send the patient to the emergency room, but what are the things, how we educated the family, how we educated our staff, so that what to expect in the next few days. And then based on that, we'll make a decision with the goal of that we don't want to send the patient to the emergency room as per family's request. And obviously, patient is old and sick, so sometimes they don't really wish to do that. I think something to consider. If you have questions, you ask me. And again, thank you for your support. And I will see you next week. Hopefully next week I'm going to try to switch it over to maybe we can try that. But thank you very much, everybody, for your support. Thank you.